More Canadians are looking to buy a home, including first-time home buyers. This, according to RE/MAX Canada. About a quarter of those interested would be ready to buy if the Bank of Canada cuts rates. Here to talk about these numbers is Don Kottick, president of RE/MAX Canada. Don, thanks very much for joining us.
Hey, Roger. Thanks for having me today.
Let's talk about the 10% of Canadians who are ready to buy a home or plan to buy a home over the next 12 months. That's I was looking about a 35% increase from the fall. What's driving that change, that optimism, I guess?
Well, I think we have to realize that Canadians have been living in a state of uncertainty in terms of the economic situation for the last little while, and as a result of that, I think consumers have just become comfortable that this is the way the things are going to work out. They had hoped that by this time the Canadian government had probably negotiated a settlement with the U.S. in terms of the tariff discussions, but that isn't the case, and so now they've just become comfortable with this state of uncertainty. And I think there's a lot of pent-up buyer demand that's existed in the market for quite some time, and it's just coming to fruition at this point in time going into 2026.
Now, it's a lot easier, of course, to buy your second home or your home after that, but about half of those people are going to be first-time buyers. What do we know the demographic breakdown on them? Are they younger? Are we starting to see young people again looking at buying?
Well, one of the things we're seeing that the first-time buyers, there's actually been a demographic shift probably in the last 5 years. We're starting to see that they're an older demographic. They're taking a little longer to save their money, kind of in light of the way things are at this point in time. And they, once again, they're skewing a little bit older than they had in the past.
So we're not seeing the young people, the optimism change for the young people. A lot of them still think they're not going to see a house for a while.
Well, I think anecdotally we're finding that home buying is still near and dear to all Canadians, and that includes the first-time buyers, the younger demographic. They definitely want to buy a home. That's one thing that our surveys had found. I just think that they're waiting a little bit longer than they have in the past. But they definitely know that, owning a home is one of the few ways that you can probably accumulate wealth in Canada in light of all the taxes that we pay here and things like that. So it is near and dear to our culture, and it continues to be a part of who we are.
And you have about 23% of Canadians say they're ready to buy if the Bank of Canada interest rates drop. What kind of a drop do they want to see before they're willing to get out there?
Well, it's interesting. I think that at this point in time, I do believe that right now the general consensus is that rates are probably going to hold firm for the Q1 and potentially into Q2 at this point in time, which is really creating that scenario that, okay, I'm not going to sit on the fence anymore. Rates have somewhat stabilized in a lot of consumers' minds. And so as a result of that, we're seeing these people that, wanted to sit on the sidelines, wait for that next drop to come. And now they realize that, well, it may not come for a while. This may be the way things are, and we're going to get back into the market. And so we're seeing that anticipation going into 2026.
And the numbers we're talking about, is it fairly consistent across the country, that percentage, or does it vary from region to region?
It varies. Obviously, everything is based on affordability. So the more affordable the markets are, obviously the uptick is going to be a little higher. The major markets like Vancouver and Toronto, where obviously the average price is higher, we're not seeing the same uptick than we'll see in affordable markets like Montreal, in Calgary, out in the prairies, Saskatoon as well too, and some of probably the rural regions across Ontario.
And when they do get out there looking, what kind of house prices are they going to be looking at? Have we seen a drop?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is, going into next year, we're the general consensus is we're going to see probably a decline somewhere around, between 3% and 4%, probably closer to 4% in terms of average price across the country, and we anticipate though sales could be up 3.4% going into 2026. And so we're anticipating a slight upswing in the market. Once again, as people become uncomfortable with uncertainty.
And now we've seen a bit of a drop in immigration coming in. Is that alleviating some of the pressure for people looking for houses? A little less competition?
I think, Roger, like we're coming off, decades of chronic shortage of inventory relative to our population. So even though, they have reduced the immigration somewhat, we have increased immigration quite a bit in the past 10 years. So we're going to feel the residual effect of that, kind of record immigration that's come in the last few years. And once again, that's going to put pressure on the rental market, but also put the pressure on the conventional real estate market as well.
And just going back, you mentioned about tariffs. Has that had an impact other than almost a psychological one, but expense-wise, especially for new homes, have we seen an impact on that on house prices?
Well, I think one of the things that obviously there was concern in terms of the cost of materials and things like that impacting the homes. But from a consumer sentiment, I think that kind of, we had the initial shock probably back in February and in the spring when the impact was really felt. And as time has gone on, once again, people have just adjusted to that reality that, this is the way it is. And, people have just given up that a resolution is going to happen. And as a result of that, they jump back into the market.
Okay, we're going to have to end it there. Don, thanks very much for joining us, though.
My pleasure. Thanks, Roger. Thanks for having me.
Don Kottick is president of RE/MAX Canada.